Hey, I'm Ryan, and you're watching Creative Sound Lab, a weekly TV show. And this week we're going to be talking about Junkyard Percussion, specifically barrels. I've, done some recording with various other Junkyard Percussion chains and, sheet metal and things like that. But today I'm really going to be focusing on ways that I've used 55-gallon, 60-gallon metal barrel drums in my recordings. Some really cool techniques that I've kind of been messing with. I'd love to share them with you and then kind of show you some of the really cool tones that these barrels can get. I mean, these things are just laying around if you know where to look, and they're really cool tones that you can use for your studio if you need them. So, hope you join with me today on recording Junkyard Percussion. So the very first time that I got to experience the magnificent tones that a barrel could make was with my friend Caden. I'd called him up and I was kind of in a bind because one of my clients wanted to use some Junkyard Percussion and get some really cool tones that nobody's ever heard before. And I was really all for that. I mean, I like doing unique things, and so it was a friend of a friend. I called him up, we met up, and he had the tan barrel. It's actually a 60-gallon drum. And so we got developing a friendship, and he showed me all of his other stuff. And it was really cool, just the stuff that he collected. He collected propane tanks and tanks of other sort of pressurized gas and sheet metal and chains and just weird things. He's into even robotics and ways of triggering things and resonating things into this found percussion and then capturing them. And this guy Caden actually goes by the name of Bon Mir, and he's going to be one of our featured artists here at Creative Sound Lab at creativesoundlab.tv. So you'll be hearing some of his music that he creates using wavetable synthesis. But he lent me these barrels today and a lot of his other percussion stuff. And really, it just perplexed me how many cool tones came out of his, specifically the tan barrel, that he was able to create. And so I started exploring these tones. So come session time, I really had just kind of the sky's the limit as far as tones. I could try different things, and the artist was totally cool with it. For one song, Late by Flint Ziegler, we actually put the bass drum inside of the hole, the opening. I'm going to play some of the recording that I made earlier today of that setup for you.
Elements of the song that I was really hanging on to was that kick drum inside the barrel, and I love that sound. I love the tone of it and all the weird overtones that we were getting, and it was just trying to find an arrangement that allowed for that to completely dissipate so that we heard it, we heard all of the nuances of it.
So you can see that the tone is really cool, and for a drummer it's actually a cool experience because the low end of that kick drum, although it's just a 20-inch kick drum, really almost kind of resonates and shoots back at you, really hits you in the chest. I mic'd it inside with an M179 by CAD, and it really had a really cool sound. So we used that, and it took the right song and the right application to make sure that tones and resonance didn't get covered up, but it really did turn out cool. The other method that we used is for a song called Johnson City. And it was just a really simple idea of just hitting the corner of the barrel. And for some reason, this side of the barrel, this area, really sounds unique. It has a very high-pitched tone, but it's still hollow. It's very sharp, but it still gets that fullness of the barrel sound, almost like wooden-like. So let me play you some of the tape from earlier of that kind of setup.
I drove home from
Felt like he was bringing home a war.
And so that was the basic setup for a song called Johnson City. You can also play it with mallets at the end, and that brings out some cool tone. But you can really hear the tone of the barrel just in the edge. You wouldn't expect it. The key here is how thin that barrel is. So if you want to go looking for this stuff, make sure you hit it. You know, bring along a pair of mallets, a pair of sticks, hit it with your hands. Really use your ears to make sure that this stuff is really going to work for you. Now, the final song is actually called On My Love, also by Flint Ziegler. And we decided to float the barrel on top of basically what was designed to float microphone stands. And so we put these feet on the barrel and actually suspended it off the floor. Now, before we lowered it down, we actually put the microphone on a stool and then put the microphone just laying on a piece of foam on that stool. This way the microphone was actually inside the barrel, and then when we went to play the barrel, it really captured the full tone and a lot of the low end frequency. Let's hear what that setup sounds like.
Investigate, home late, magistrate. Everybody knows, but they won't say who. Fingers pointing at you. I took her down to the river and I held her head under till she drowned. If I can't love her, then no one else can have her now. I sent her to heaven on my love. Sold her to heaven on my love.
So yeah, that was pretty much the gist of it. A really simple part with a little bit of offshoots here and there with, you know, my index finger on the side. And it really was kind of a four-on-the-floor kick drum substitute. So it really turned out cool. It was a little hard to mix because it didn't have that high end that you typically have in a traditional kick drum. So there's lots of low end with not a whole lot of mid-range to really help translate, to help the human ear to identify what we're actually hearing. So that took some practice and the mix time to really get it to translate good. So to wrap this up, I want to just play for you a couple of these barrels and just let you enjoy the different sounds and tones that they have.